This London plane tree in our property is showing signs of heat stress from the drought. We're going to give it some love. Now we've been watering this tree to look after it during the drought, and you can see that the water has greened up the grass on the high side. Now that's the most logical way to do it, water from the top so the water runs down the hill. The problem is I don't want to grow the grass at this time, it's not my priority, the tree is. So I need to get the water down deeper to where the tree roots are. Now I can start by using a spade and digging a hole. I promise you that I'm not faking that. It's probably hit a rock or something. But either way, it's going to be hard going if you want to dig a hole to get down deep, and it's going to be a pretty big hole. So the easiest way to do that is going to be to use this tool. Now, if you haven't seen one of these, I don't know where you've been. This is the power planter that attaches to your cordless drill, and you can use it to cultivate your garden and dig things. If you haven't already seen it, head to powerplanter.com.au and you need to get one of these. Absolutely brilliant. But for today, what we're going to use it for is to drill a long, narrow hole, a deep hole, so that we can water right down into the roots. So let's give it a go. Now what I'm doing here is I'm drilling slowly, and I'm going to keep emptying the dirt out as I go, and I'm going to scoop away this dirt and move it away from the hole. You can see we're starting to get this hole happening now. Let's go again. And then just pause and then lift it out. And lifting it out. You can see how easy this is compared to digging with a spade. Now for those of you who are thinking this is putting a huge strain on the drill, it's not actually. We've been using the same drill for over 3 years. When you have it on slow speed, it's just like putting screws in, so it doesn't put any extra strain on the drill. It's quite able to cope with this. So you can see the colour change there, so we're definitely into the clay. And I've gone down as deep as I can now. And there we go. And we've got a nice clean hole there. I'm just going to move the soil away from the edge. Now I could just leave it there and pour the water into that, and that will help the tree. But the extra step you can do if you've got soil that's quite friable, particularly some of the topsoil here and some of the clay, is it's going to keep collapsing in all the time. So we want to keep that hole open. The easiest way to do that is to use this special pipe. Now this is called agricultural pipe, and you can get this at your hardwares and plumbing stores. It's quite common. The one I'm using is 65 mils wide, which is perfect because this hole size is 75 mils, so it's going to slide in there and be a nice fit. Let's bring the close-up camera in and have a look at this pipe so you can see how it's going to work. You can see all these ridges along here, and there's holes, there's slits all the way along this pipe. Now normally you use this pipe to remove excess water in areas like behind retaining walls and things for drainage, and the water goes into the holes and down the pipe and away to somewhere else. This time what we're going to do is pour water in the end of the pipe, and it's going to leak out these holes to feed the roots. Now we need to cut the right length of pipe. We look at the length of the power planter, 600 mils long. We generally want the pipe to be a bit longer than that to stick out of the ground to make it easy for us. Now I'm just going to use a handsaw to do the cutting. This is a hacksaw, but you could use just a handsaw for this, or a really strong pair of scissors or secateurs. It's not too hard. Go all the way through, and then we're going to slide that into the hole as far as it'll go down, and then we leave some sticking out there. And we can also pack some of this soil in back into the hole around there like this. Pile it up because it'll all tend to settle down to the sides of that. Now we're going to move the drill out of the way. We don't want it to get wet because we're going to be putting water down this hole here. Now in Sydney we're on strict water restrictions at the moment. I think we're on level 2 at the time of recording this video, so that means that we can't use town water on hoses. We're only allowed to fill watering cans up and then water that way. I do have an advantage on my property because we've got a dam, so that helps with watering the trees as well. So we're going to pour water into here, we're going to pour into the top, and you get an idea of how much water is actually going to go into this pipe. And it's just started to overflow now. So we've done, this is a 9 litre watering can, so we've put half of that in, so about 4.5 litres have gone into that pipe. And what's happening now is that water slowly starts to go out into the surrounding soil. And as the soil starts to become more compact, that'll actually slow down as well. And then the roots can feed on that. Because one of the big things is you don't want the water spreading out across the ground, you want it going into the ground where the roots actually are. So that's a really simple way of doing it. All you need is a power planter, some agricultural pipe, remember 65 mil is the go, and then of course your watering can and a saw, and you can do this and look after your trees. It's still best if you do it on the high side of the tree. If you want to be generous, I put one on the other side of the tree as well, so you're feeding the roots on both sides is always a good idea, so the tree's nice and balanced. That's how you make trees survive in drought conditions.